Hi everybody, this is Flash001 USA and it's June 6, 2013. It's about 7 p.m. here. The following day, after I had done my generator test with the gasifier, I had a couple of YouTube users come back to me and they made a request to me. They were asking me if I would be willing to do another filter examination video, preferably with the filters that I'd used the night before on the gasifier with the generator. I'd already beaten them to the punch because I also wanted to know what was inside of the filters. So I got up the following morning and I disassembled them. And I found pretty much what you would expect to find. On the first stage, it was pretty dirty. The second stage was dirty at the bottom and the filter medium became cleaner as it got up to the top. And the third stage was pretty clean within reason considering what had been run through it for 3.5 hours. Now when I was first examining them, I thought, hey man, I'm seeing tar in the first stage. And I thought, you know, I'm going to probably have to make some air nozzle adjustments to correct this if I really want to get it absolutely clean. Come to find out, what I was seeing in it wasn't tar, because I was looking at it and at first glance it was a black gooey substance that was sticking to my fingers and it was definitely slimy. I figured out what it was. It turned out to be carbon soot that had collected in the filters, and of course the humid gas with the water being released in the filters, it had mixed with that and it made a sort of a clay. That's about the only way I can put it. It was like a clay and it was sticky to the touch, but it actually washed off with just water. The majority of it washed right away without even trying. So that was a relief. Now I can't show you what was in the filters because when I had them disassembled, I went ahead and reloaded them up because I have some new fuels that I want to try out and more tests. So I've got these guys set up so as soon as I get a free moment, I can try some more tests. So I decided to do this a different way and hopefully answer some questions about this. Instead, guys, we're going to the belly of the beast. I can tell you this from first-hand experience. When I had my FEMA, when you'd run it for 3 or 4 hours, because it was a cooler running gasifier, you would have the heavy tars that would build up internally in it. Even though you would have biochar, you would still have heavy tars that would get the bottom of the tank sticky, or the sides of it. And you guys know that tar is not like water. It just doesn't evaporate away. And what I'm going to do, and I'm winging this, we're going to look inside of here first. I don't know what you guys are going to be able to see, so we're going to zoom in. And I'm hoping you can see inside of here. Okay. There's not enough light probably. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go at this another way. Also look at my gasket here too. There's no gooey stuff on that. And with the FEMA, I would always have a lot of honey stuff that would get on that gasket. It's just the way it was. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to stick my hand in here. And you guys are going to see me do it. Here's my hand. Here's the gasifier. Scrub around in here. I'm going to go all the way inside of it, all the way to the back. Cover every inch of the steel floor so that I'm not just, rubbing my hands in ashes. I'm going down to the metal as much as I can. Now I'm going to go to the side. Right here. Going back to the bottom. Okay. There's no tar on my hands, but we're going to drive this point home because I'm making this video for a reason here. So I set up for it. Okay. Because I knew I was going to be doing this, I went ahead and set the tripod up by the spigot up here. I want you guys to see me wash my hands. And you'll see what washes off of them. Okay, first let's take a look at my hand here. You can see I got something on it. Got it real close, especially the thumb. Right here and here. Now keep in mind, all this isn't going to wash off because I just did scrub my hands into a piece of steel. Some of this is probably embedded into my pores, but for those of you out there that understand tar, you know it's just like oil-based paint or roofing tar. Once it gets on you or your clothes, the only way you get it off is with chemicals. Here we go. First thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to let the water just run on me here. And no, I don't expect all this to wash off. But I'm still going to drive the point home that needs to be driven. Alright. Here's the old rubber-rooski. Like I said, I just don't have any soap or anything out here, so it's not going to come any cleaner than if you had dirt embedded into your hands and you try just using water, especially cold water, guys. But for those of you out there, I'll say it again, that understand tar, you know how it works. Okay. There you go. Now, can I make the claim that this new Inbert gasifier that I built up is 100% tar free? No, I can't. The only way to really know is to have an access port at the gasifier that enters right into the reduction zone. This way you can either insert a thermometer into it and get a measurement, or you can do it the old-fashioned way and insert a steel rod into it, let it get to its maximum temperature, then pull it out and compare it to a blacksmith's chart. Judging from the color of my flares on it, it's probably safe to say that, yeah, I'm either reaching or exceeding the temperatures needed to crack the tar. And what I want to do is show you a couple still photographs of it, because in my eyes the video camera doesn't capture all the details of the color of the flame. Now, if you've got tar in the gas, it's always going to have a yellow milky color to it, but my flares are going to be a clear Halloween fluorescent orange color. And that fluorescent orange color, or the orange color itself, is normally from the soot being consumed at the flare. And normally you get soot from cracked tar, okay? Now, can I get this gas where I see some tar in it at times? Yes, I can. If I run the draw on this where the gas, the air is moving through it really slow, I will see some lighter oil tars in the system, okay? But I'm really not concerned about that, and I'm going to tell you why. My filters do the job. They get the gas so clean, they scrub it so clean that it's like propane coming out the other side of it. And my main concern is this. A, is my gasifier reliable? Will it run for long periods of time? Yes, it passes that test. B, do I see any nasty stuff in the gas that's going to lock up the engine? No. C, does the engine run with it? Yes, it does. So therefore it passed the three main criteria that I need to produce emergency electricity. And although, you know, I don't care for the FEMA gasifier because of some of the downfalls with it, if you filter one right, yeah, they'll do the job. And you can do it without damaging the engine. You just got to be careful with it. So with that said, what I want to do with the rest of this video is I want to make a comparison of pros and cons between a FEMA gasifier and an Inbert gasifier, because I think that both of them have pluses and minuses, okay? And so I'm going to discuss it on this video here, and hopefully, as I said before, I hope this information helps some of you out there. So let's get started. Alright everybody, the first thing that I want to do is I want to make a disclaimer here. By no means am I the know-all, see-all, nor the guru when it comes to gasifiers. And everything I want to be sharing here with you is from my personal first-hand experience, since I have built the FEMA along with this Inbert system. And what I want to do is I want to compare the difference of the two, the pros and cons with them, and hopefully some of you all out there will find this information useful. I want to start with the FEMA first, okay? Compare the FEMA to an old vintage Volkswagen. It's something that's built up incredibly simple, and it's very friendly on fuel. And let me give you an example of that. I started using this bin probably about the last 3 or 4 videos with the FEMA, okay? And if I top this guy all the way off to the top, I can get 4 to 4.5 hours runtime off of that FEMA with a nice clear blue flame if it's filtered correctly. Compared to the Inbert, that same runtime, I'm going to go through about 2 of those, and if I run this pretty hard, I'm going to go through about 2.5 of those. So there's definitely a trade-off, but I get a much more robust gas off of this. Okay, let's talk about a minus with the FEMA. It runs at much lower temperatures, and that means you're going to see a lot of heavy tars produced off of it. Let me show you an example of that. This was my running inside joke around here for a while. Okay, it was my inside joke and hopes and dreams one day to pave my whole driveway with FEMA tar so that I wouldn't have to pay somebody to come out here and do it. And then I could come spray deodorant on it to get rid of the smell of burnt wood. But that never happened because I wound up building this guy over here. Okay, that's one of the minuses with it. And one of the minuses with this guy here is he consumes more fuel. So it's a trade-off, guys. It's just a trade-off at what you want to build. Now, going back to the FEMA again, I would say that they're a really good gasifier if you're going to be building it to run something small, like a small engine, 5 horsepower and below. They're most excellent for that, but you got to filter them. And a minus to that is you got to use a little bit bigger filters because they do run lower temperatures and they're going to produce a lot more tar, and you got to be careful that you don't gum up anything. And that trade-off is it's going to mean the engine's going to work harder to draw off of those filters. So you're going to lose some of the power off your engine. Now with this guy right here, I was able to cut these filters damn well close to 1/2, or at least more than 1/3 of the way down. And I get a pristine gas off of this right here, okay? So that was a plus with this guy right here. Now, Can I tell you this thing's 100% tar free 100% time? No, I can't. And the reason being, if I run this thing nice and hot, yeah, I can crack everything in it to turn it to dust. But, you know, it may be a situation where I don't pull it as hard, and if that's the case, you can still crack tars but not crack all of them. You can wind up with what I call light, oily tars off of it. The good thing is I know that they'll get captured in the filters. There's no doubt about that. So, you know, I mean, there's trade-offs with everything, and there's no such thing as the perfect gasifier unless you're using the exact same wood and running it, the tug on it, that is, you know, the same every time you do it. So it's critical. You know, just like they design engines to standards, you know, hey, look, you got to use this engine, you're going to use this type of fuel to get this sort of efficiency, to get the best out of it. Same with the gasifier. There is no magic bullet with it. Now for mine, I'm running a single 1/2 inch air nozzle. And I had mentioned and showed you guys that I don't see that much smoke in my hopper, and I know a lot of people were kind of surprised by that. I don't know if this is going to see down here or not, but I'm going to zoom in. Just let you see it. The trick to me getting rid of the smoke in this guy, so I didn't have all the gooey tar in here when I was running it, was my air nozzle is protruding almost 2 inches down into the center of the cone, okay? And that made every bit of difference in the world with it. What was happening was, where I was seeing smoke in this thing was, as the thing would start running low on fuel, the fire would creep up, or the embers that would creep up into the bottom or the top of the cone right here, which would be the bottom of the wood hopper, and it would allow the smoke to fill up in here, and I'd get the foop factor on this thing if I wasn't careful. Now, whether it's right or wrong, or this is something I figured out by myself to get that nozzle stuck in there a little bit deeper, and that took care of all of that. So that was something I did, and I'm happy that I found that out because it actually worked for me. I'm going to go ahead and make some improvements on this thing here. I know what I want to do now. It's not like anything else. You play around with it long enough. Think of it like this, an octagon shaped tire. If you roll that tire on a hard enough road at a further enough distance, those corners in that octagon are going to break off, and it's going to be a round, smooth tire. Well, this is the same way. I've done a lot of reading on gasifiers and nozzle sizes, hearth, everything else, restriction zones versus what kind of, you know, engines you're going to be hooking up to it to get the proper air draw, you know, all that. But really, when it comes down to the real world, you know, that's only something that can get you there, you know, like horseshoes and hand grenades. It takes a lot of playing around with it. And I'm designing my gasifier to work off of the natural resources I have here and with the materials and engines that I'm going to be using. Somewhere in the very near future, I'm going to share my build with this and give you some details on how I constructed this one here. Because I felt like I got it done with the bare minimum of materials and without having to put a lot of money into it. I got time in it, but you know, it's not like it broke the bank to build this. I hope you guys find this video helpful, and if you have any questions or comments, feel free as always to put something on the blog and I'll get back at you. So this is Flash 001 USA, and have a good day, everybody.